On episode 702 of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, we bring back Jim Owen and discuss his documentaries, The Art of Aging Well and Super Agers, Getting Old, Living Young. Welcome to the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, the largest and longest running health and fitness podcast dedicated to people over 40. Whether you're looking to lose weight, get stronger, or improve your health and age better, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Coach Allan, an online health and fitness coach and author of The Wellness Roadmap. Each week, we dive into practical tips, expert advice, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your health and fitness. If you're ready to look, feel, and perform your best, no matter your age, this podcast is the perfect place to start. Let's get you on the path to a healthier, fitter, and more energetic version of yourself. I hope you'll join us each week, and together we can unlock your full potential. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast. I'm really glad you're here. As this episode goes live, I'm rounding out, I've got about another week and a half that I'll be in North Carolina working on some family stuff. And then I'm headed over to a family reunion on my father's side. Pretty excited about that because that's when Tammy flies in. It's been a long, hard 6 months traveling up here so much and not being with her. So we're both going to take some time off and spend some time together, spend time with family. Really looking forward to that. It's been too long, too much, but it's almost over. I've almost got things wrapped up here. Hopefully, I'll have it wrapped up within the next week or so. So again, pretty excited that she's going to be here, but I'm also really excited about the guest we're going to have on today. Jim Owen is the epitome of what you want to be when you get to be in your 70s and now 80s. Because he's really churned things around and really didn't get started until he was 70. So good role model for those of us that want to be super agers, those of us that want to age well. Jim's got a lot to say, and I'm really excited to be talking to him today. So let's jump into the interview. Our guest today is a 40-year veteran of Wall Street and also the founder and CIO of the Center for Cowboy Ethics and Leadership. He found a new passion in life when he turned 70 and realized statistically he may only have 15 years left in his life and wasn't satisfied with that option. He quickly worked to get in the best shape possible to ensure he had many more years left with his wife of over 50 years, Stanya. Since his fitness journey began, he has been working hard to share his wisdom and inspire other aging adults. He authored Just Move, a new approach to fitness after 50, produced the film The Art of Aging Well, and now at 84 years young, is finalizing the launch plans for his next documentary, The Art of Becoming a Super Ager. With no further ado, here's Jim Owen. Jim, welcome back to 40 Plus Fitness.
Well, it's great seeing you. It's been 2 or 3 years?
Yeah.
It's so much fun. You look younger. What are you doing? Is that really you, or
Yeah, there's no filters. Well, my wife and I 6 years ago now, moved to a Caribbean island.
Which one?
On the off of an archipelago off the coast of Panama. It is a Caribbean island that does not get hurricanes. We're recording this on June 3rd, so hurricane season just started in the United States, and I used to have a house on the Gulf Coast, and so from now till November would have been like part of the most stressful part of my days, because when is a hurricane going to come by and just blow our house away?
I don't envy many people, but I envy you. You know how to do it.
Well, we grow up. It's funny, and you're doing this. This is kind of the thing. I think that's why you and I get along so well. Is that it's like when we were kids or we were younger, we said something. You and I were the kind of person that just said, okay, and then we went and did it. And so it's like everybody's talking. I just remember as kids, everybody saying, "Well, I just want to move to a Caribbean island, sell everything, and quit my job and move to a Caribbean island."
Oh, I love it. Well, no wonder you've got that smile, incandescent smile, we call
Thank
it.
you. I've actually been back here for a while. My mother passed in December, so I've been back in the States a good bit. But I've gotten down here long enough now for a couple of weeks that I settled back into my patterns and my place and my way. And
How old are you now?
I am 59
You're a
and
kid.
about to be first-time grandfather.
Oh, my God. You're a kid.
I am. Yeah, I know.
You look 50, to be honest.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I don't think he's even. You're not even old. I'm an old geezer.
Well, no. I've met some old geezers. You're not one of them.
Let's get started. I'm so happy. I'm smiling from the heart.
Well,
because I remember very well how much fun we had. It's just fun.
Yeah. Well, good. We were talking earlier, and you said you're a writer, but we're not going to talk about books today, even though you've written 7 of them, and one of them is a bestseller. We're going to talk about a couple of documentaries that you did that are excellent for individuals that are approaching an age where we're actually thinking about age. Most people coming up before 40, we don't even think about our age. That's just a thing. And then we start having those O's in our birthday, 40 and 50, and then I guess 60. Mm-hmm. And for some people, it's the 9s that get to them. But now they're suddenly starting to pay attention. They're like, okay, I did learn to count higher, but I don't want to.
Well, the similarity is you and I are both doers. You should talk about this stuff, but you and I are both doers. That's the difference.
Yeah.
I'm not smarter. I'm not anything except I'm a doer. Always have been. That's like you.
Right. But these documentaries are just really cool. One of them is called The Art of Aging Well.
Right.
And the second one, and actually the one, if I'm being honest, I liked a lot more, was Super Agers, Getting Old, Living Young. They're both excellent. One of them was on PBS, I believe. And
no, they both
were. Okay.
So just so you know, the particular PBS station, you can believe it or not believe it, I know for a fact that has the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, is the Denver. I don't know why. It has to be somebody. It's not New Orleans or LA. It's actually Denver. Denver in January of this year played both of them in the same month. Not back to back, but they just said, and I didn't know it. Nobody called me. But somebody just said to me, I saw them both. And so what I'm saying is that it's not new year, new you. I don't buy that. It's just, you got to be the same thing all year. But but they loved both of them. They both ran them. They ran both of them individually. Then 2 or 3 years later, they ran them the same month.
That's good.
And when I heard that,
no, it's good stuff. And I want to talk about each of them a little bit as we go forward.
Okay, let's start.
So as you went through these, I think some core concepts that kind of came up, of course, exercise, nutrition, stress, sleep. And the one I want to save till last, not because it's last, I think it's actually first, but I want to talk a little bit deeper on purpose. So before we got on here, you were saying, okay, you've kind of structured these now in a way that make it easier to talk about, easier to think about. The steps that Jim took, if you will, to put this all together for himself so that he's sitting here younger than he probably was 20 years ago from a biological perspective. So
my doctor at the annual checkup said, Mr. Owen, they won't say Jim, your markers, whatever that is like somebody 20 years younger. And I just said to me, well, thank you, doctor. Better than having markers that look like a 100-year-old, I guess. So I don't take myself all that seriously. I like to laugh about life. But anyway, it was just kind of a reassuring to see that all this work I put into it, so to speak, is kind of paying off. And I'm not saying I'm living proof. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying whatever I've done, anybody can do if they want to.
Yeah.
But there's got to be an action plan. And that's kind of what I'm doing now is figuring out what are the steps anybody can take if they want to be a super ager, aging, and so on. Enough. But that's what I'm doing now.
Okay. Let's dive right on into that. Okay. I'm currently, like I said, 59 years old, about to be a first-time grandpa. What are the things that someone like me should be doing if they have their sights set on being a super ager? Because when I look at it, it's like, okay, so this boy is going to be born. I'm going to be almost 60 years older than him. That's very different than generations before us, because there was usually like a 20 plus year gap. Now there's 30 plus year gaps. So before he gets out of college, I'm going to be in my 80s. Before he probably gets married and starts having kids, I'm likely to be in my 90s. And I have my sights set on being at the weddings, being there for the great grandchild, and not just watching it, but participating in that life. Okay. So I have now, based on, I guess, if you read science fiction, there's like timelines and things like that. My current timeline has me being, the great grandfather, has me at a wedding, has me watching him graduate, living his life, playing little league, doing little things, all the things boys do. I want to be a part of that. I want to know who he is. I want to spend enough time, roll around with him on the ground, throw the ball with him, kick the ball with him, watch him graduate, watch him get married, watch him have his own kids. I want to see that. I want to be there. What do I need to do to make that my reality?
Let me give you the good news. The good news is you're asking this question at your age. Most people only ask it, as I did when I turned 70. It's a heck of a lot more difficult for anybody who asks that question when they're 70 or 75. Now,
it's still doable.
Wait a minute. It's never too late to get more fit when you're 70 or 70. I'm just telling you, much harder work. So what's my point? The sooner you start this, the sooner you get inspired like you are to take better care of your health, whatever that means, the easier it's going to be. Believe me. I started when I was 70, and I was in, quote, god-awful shape. That's the truth. Okay? Doesn't matter why. Bad shape. I said, what does that mean, bad shape? Well, 35 pounds overweight, no energy at all, and excruciating lower back pain, as in crawling on the bathroom floor. That's how bad off I was. Now, if I had been you, maybe not. Well, then you fast forward 20 years later. I'll be 85 in a couple of months. I'm in the best shape of my life. And that's the transformation that I made, that anybody made. There's nothing special about me. I'm an ordinary guy. And the point is, if I can do it, anybody can do it. But I strongly believe, Allan, that you've got to have an action plan. You don't just do it by being a nice person or, oh, I read this book. Yeah, that's nice. You need a game plan, roadmap, whatever you want to call it. And with all the experts that you've talked to, and with your knowledge about this whole healthy aging thing, it's a very natural that you're going to find that this is not as big of a deal, not as much of a challenge, because you're starting now. So the number one message is, the earlier you start, the easier it is. Guarantee you that. I don't recommend waiting as I did for various reasons. I don't need to go into them. But overweight, oh my God. Crawling on the bathroom floor, pain. That's no fun. Okay? And somehow I figured it out, a game plan. So a goal, I want to get fit, without a plan is just a wish. And that's, to me, that's the heart of it. It's not talking about it. And that's why I respect you so much. You're not just a talker, you're a doer. That's like me. So that's the first thing. So my first step was becoming what I call geezer fit, because I was 70 years old. And that's just my term. You can say, what the heck is geezer fit?
We all know what geezer is. We're not that young.
Being called geezer. And you know what I said? I'll show you, geezer. I was about 75. You want an arm wrestle, buddy? Was that like an insult? Okay. And he said, well, I don't know. But that's the truth. And so geezer, to me, it's a geezer fit is just I made it up. I didn't read it somewhere. And it's, what we're talking about is becoming functionally fit. We're not talking about, I want to become Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, come on. These guys are all using drugs, and he admits that. Okay? Geezer fit or functional fitness is not about how much weight you can lift, looking good in a bathing suit. It's about being, as you said, being able to do normal things in your life that you would like to do as you get older. I want to be able to hold my grandchild. I want to be able to play with my son. He loves to hike. He loves to ski, whatever. Well, I can't do that. I'm all bent over and out of shape. Oh, I feel terrible. Well, you don't have to feel terrible. And I don't think it's genes, by the way. You can argue I'm not an expert. Doctors go, it's all genes. I don't believe it. I think it's about 75% lifestyle. Now, why is that important? That means if you are 60 or 65 or even 70, like me, you can change your body, your functioning. I'm living proof. I'm nobody special. I believe, ordinary guy. I just kind of figured out I better do something. And we talked about this in our first interview, but I want to mention this again. One statistic got me off the couch. And I was a couch potato. Let's be honest about it. Okay? I think it's Harvard Business School, medical school, maybe Mayo Clinic. But this is out of 100,000 population. This is not 1 or 2 or 10 people from Finland. Okay? Out of 100,000 population. Big if now, if you make it to 70, statistically, out of 100,000 population, how many years can you expect to live?
Well, I know the answer because it was in the documentary, but...
Yeah, the answer is 15. And I said to myself, if I feel this bad now, can you imagine when I'll be in a wheelchair? I'll be on crutches. I'll be this other stuff. I got to do something. That was motivation. If that doesn't motivate somebody, I don't know what will. So that's what got me off the couch and said, okay, what can I do? And that's when I began a journey that's still going on. I mean, this is ongoing. It doesn't stop. Well, I guess I'm okay. I don't need to work out. I don't need to watch what I eat. I can gain 20 pounds. Well, today, I'm at my ideal weight. I've lost 35 pounds, but I've kept it off for 10 years. That's the hard part. Anybody can lose weight, sure. I don't eat pills or, no, just do it by exercising and eating right. So that's the critical thing. And you're so smart, as I know you are, to start now and not put it off. Well, someday when life slows down, someday when I retire, someday, it's always someday. Yeah. Maybe next year I'll do that. But don't tell me what to do. See what I mean? That's why people don't do it. So somebody's hectoring them. Your wife says, you need to lose weight. Or the doctor, you need to exercise. You say, no, I don't. You don't tell me what to do. And that's part of the problem. Yeah. You have to just say to yourself, I want to change my lifestyle. It's not about longevity. I want to make that point. Nope. Yeah. Everybody thinks it's about longevity. I don't care if I die in 4 years. Doesn't bother me. I just want to live in reasonably good health, have that passion that drives me, which I have. Okay? And when that's diminished, I'm ready to go. And all I want to say is, I led a good life for me.
Good. So someone wants to put together this plan. What do we do?
Okay. Step number one is becoming Geezer fit. That has nothing to do with bodybuilding at all. It just means functional fitness, working out. And what does that mean, working out? Lifting heavy weights? No. Now, what it means is your body was meant to move. No argument, right? It's the sitting that's the, quote, silent killer. I know that's true. The average American adult sits 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day. Sure, I have to sit on my job. I'm in my computer, blah, 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 watching TV. Well, your body was meant to move. If you don't move, you're going to develop problems. Guarantee you. And that's what happened to me. I was sitting on airplanes for 10 years, promoting. I loved it. Cowboy ethics, had a little foundation. Some of my happiest days weren't in the business world, is when I got into the creative world. And that's where I am right now. But I loved it. It killed me. Every night, late night dinners. In the morning, I go to the airport at 4 a.m, sitting like this for 4 or 5 hours. Monday, I was in Boston. Wednesday, I was in San Antonio or someplace. Friday, I'm in Portland, Oregon. Okay, that's not much of an exaggeration. That's what did it to me. Okay, and so that's number one. It's just I learned to move. I mean, I want to point this out. I'm not a trainer. I'm not a life coach. And you know this to be true. I'm not selling anything. I'm selling inspiration. That's what I'm trying to sell. And I had a good Wall Street career. You can say luck. Yeah, probably luckier than smart. I admit it. Just got lucky. Wind was at my back. It doesn't matter. I don't think about economics and the stock market, the bond market. I have no opinion about the economy. Not really. I'm more interested in when I was younger. As you say, I wanted to change the world. I just want to change myself. Be the best person I can be to my wife, my 2 kids, my friends. That's all I want out of life. It's not, I don't think about anything else, but I enjoy the creative stuff. And I am, in fact, I'm into projects. That's what I do right now. I love projects. I love to focus on something. And if you have a long list of weaknesses, but the one I just touched, I'm curious about you on this. I cannot multitask. Now, is it autistic spectrum? Maybe. ADHD? I don't know. But what I can do.
No, I can tell you specifically what it is because I try to multitask. I'm in a world where it's almost required. I've got a phone here, I've got the computer and a camera here. I actually have another computer over here. The door's behind me. I've got all of these sensory inputs that can be hitting me at any given time, and I want to be on all of them. I want to take care of all of them, spin all the plates. Mm-hmm. And so you get into that mindset of control of your environment, of your things, of not falling behind. It's like, okay, did I check my email recently? Did I do this? Did I do that? And the reality is, when we get ourselves roped into that type of math, we're never at our best. Whereas, particularly when you get into a creative mindset and you're trying to do something, if you can just literally focus on one thing, you actually are successful. Okay. When I was really young, like in my mid-20s, I worked offshore. And one of our offshore jobs was to set up a platform. Camille had come through as a hurricane 2 decades earlier, wiped out all the platforms on Pontchartrain. And we were out there because oil prices, gas prices had gotten high enough. It made sense for them to start that kind of thing again. So we went out there. We were cleaning up, pulling all this stuff out that had been underwater for 20 years. And now we were setting up a platform. But we were on the water doing this for 16 hours a day. And this was all we did because there was nothing else to distract us because there was no TV, there was no nothing. There was just the work. Mm-hmm. Concrete, heavy things, cranes, water. Right. And so, but you'd get done at the end of the day and you'd be sitting in the boat as we were going back to the hotel, and you'd look, well, it was a motel, it's terrible, but you're going back on the boat and you see something sitting on the water where there was nothing before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's creativity to me. That's work. Like, when you can see the outcome of work.
Absolutely.
But it's only because, again, from a crew perspective, there was absolutely nothing else in the world for that 16 hours.
Well, my biggest strength is, again, I cannot multitask. And I think like you, but you tell me, I don't look at the world like this. Never have. Now, is that ADHD? I don't know what it is. I've never looked like this. I've always looked at it like, but the power that I've got is focus. No one can focus like me. My wife says, damn, you've been doing this stuff. What is it, 2 o'clock in the morning? Go to bed.
I like my sleep a lot more than that. So, yeah, you're not going to find me doing anything at 2 o'clock besides sleeping.
Well, I get in this thing, and I call it an obsession, whatever you want to call it.
No, I get it, but it's like, sorry, that is where we're totally different there, because I could be really into something and being creative. I'm asleep at 2 o'clock. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to wake up at 3:30 and my brain fire off and me be up saying, okay, I've got 3 hours now of creative time with everybody else asleep.
Well, I don't know. I'm in bed by 10.
Yeah. I'm in bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock.
When I have a project like this, I will inevitably wake up with ideas.
Yeah.
That's my best work, maybe 2 to 4, but it's amazing. I just, come on back to bed.
Okay. So now we put together a program, we start working, we start getting to Geezer fit. We're functionally becoming more functionally fit. Right. So it's like, no problem. I can put my luggage in an overhead bin. Right. If I'm walking with my grandson on the sidewalk and he decides, he's 3 years old, he decides he wants to dart out in the road, which every 3-year-old will at some point in their lives, you're able to reach over there and just snatch him by the collar and pull him back onto the sidewalk. So you're doing the things that you need to do and want to do in your life because you're geezer fit, or you're fit now at this age. What's the next step?
Well, real quickly, what's involved in this is that it involves, when you're older now, stretching. You got to stretch. I stretch 20, 25 minutes at a time, 3 times a week. It involves cardio. I walk 3 times. I don't run anymore. I used to. For me, the big one is strength training. And that's what changed my life. The strength, you mean? Oh, no. I'm just talking about I'm competing against myself. And I love it. So I do strength training 3 times a week, never get bored, never get tired of it. And I love the fact that on day 1, this is embarrassing, I could not do 1 push-up. Not 1. 3 weeks later, after embarrassing myself, I was doing 2. Then I was doing 3. At the end of the first year, I may have been able to do 10. Well, when I turned 75, I was doing 50. What I learned was you don't do 50 push-ups. What do? 1 push-up, 50 times. And that's the mindset. So a lot of this is mindset. So I think you would agree. But for me, the big life changer, big payoff, even today, 15 years later, is this strength training. So I've already told you real quickly, I couldn't do this, couldn't do that, no energy. Well, guess what? And you will love the story. That's me. Can you see it in the newspaper?
Yeah.
I won, first guy to ever win 10 gold medals in fitness events at the California Senior Games. So I set a goal for myself 2 years ago. And I said, I'm going to compete. There are 10 events. Now, there's track and field, blah, blah, blah. I don't do that. This is fitness. I'm going to compete in all 10 events. So let's say that there are 120 people, okay? It was done by age group. I was the 80 to 84. Nobody in the right mind would do all 10, even try them. I worked at it, did all 10, won 10 gold medals. Nobody's ever done that in the history of the game. You say, now, let's be honest about it. I killed myself in the process. But here it is. Here's me and Jim and his gold medals. And I've been interviewed with all these damn magazines and newspapers. And that's kind of what got me into this thing about if I can do it, anybody can do it. I am nobody special. And of course, to show you, if you have a game plan and you stick to it, you don't just talk about it, you can do it. So that's it. There's no secret exercises. I don't believe that's true. I do basic exercises. You what? Yeah. Start off with so simple. Do it. Push up. Sure. You do a squat. Sure. You do this. Yeah. There's no secret to it. When you follow some of the quote experts, they have all kinds of exotic things. I don't do any of that stuff. I do real basic, total body stuff. It includes stability, endurance, all common sense. The reason part of this is so critical, and you know this more than I do, is that what percent of Americans fall every year at my age?
Over 1/3.
Over 1/3 is the answer. And guess what? If you fall once, you're likely to fall a second time. Now, I live in a senior community. We moved here from Austin, Texas, maybe let's say 5 years ago. And you'd be amazed how many people fall. It's not funny.
Yeah.
They fall in the middle of the night. They're going to the restroom, whatever you want to call it, bathroom, and they fall. They may hit their head. They may fall and hurt their hip. It's tragic. Now, have I ever fallen? Sure. I've fallen down steps. Why was I not killed? I was in good shape. So that's one reason I work out. Because when you get older, you trip on a rug. That's what happens sometimes. If you're not in shape, you cannot catch yourself. So the key is, it's not that I never fall. I trip. I can catch myself. Most older people can't do that.
Yeah. The other thing that happens is as we get older, even for men, because men don't talk about it as much with men as they do women, is we have a thing called osteopenia, where we're losing bone density every year. Even as a man, we are not as much, and we started with more bone than women, so we have that competitive advantage, if you will. But even then, the fall, because you now have more brittle bones, are more likely to break one of those bones. The recovery time is significant. And often, if it's a hip, will require hospitalization. And a large percentage of the people that go into the hospital for a broken hip, a fall that have messed up their hip, they're dead a year later. So it is significant. And so lifting, doing resistance training will not only build muscle and strength, it will also help with bone density.
You ask about number two. The number two thing, again, I was 35 pounds overweight. What happened was I changed my relationship with food. So I used to eat food, by the way, all the exercise in the world, as you know this, doesn't help you lose weight. Not really. Helps you keep off weight that you've lost. But you only burn about 100, 150 calories. That's the problem when you work out. Now, unless you're an Olympic, a champion or somebody in training, or a football player, or a basketball player. So anybody that thinks that, I worked out today for 30 minutes while I was watching TV, I was on the treadmill. You might burn 75 calories. That's the bad news. So you've got to, if you want to lose weight and keep it off, you've got to figure out about what you want to put in your mouth. Let's put it that way. In my case, I changed my relationship. I used to eat because it tasted good. I never worried about anything. Yeah, sure. While I was at 35 pounds overweight, I was drawn to things with sugar and da-da-da-da-da, right? Once I changed that relationship, I now do what? I eat for fuel, period. And you're going to say to yourself and your wife, Allan, Jim's thing is so boring. I would rather be bored. And at my ideal weight, I now weigh 155. I've kept it off for 10 years. I would rather be bored than I would be overweight. And what percent of Americans today, older Americans, are not just overweight, but obese? It's a shocking number.
It's approaching 50%.
That, and for whatever reason, we don't, we do, you and I know why, okay? It's because what they put in the food. And so, it's just, we can talk all day about that. But basically, I'm on a modified Mediterranean diet. And it's boring. So what? So I eat a lot of fish, a lot of white breast meat, a lot of nuts, a lot of good things, right? I drink a liter of water every morning, a liter in the afternoon. It kind of flushes out your system, okay? So I really do watch. Well, Jim, don't you have any eating vices? Sure. Occasionally, I'll eat a dessert. But I only eat, are you ready? 3 bites. I'll believe in that 3-bite rule. Now, tonight, my wife and I, 56 years of marriage, we're taking a good friend of ours to a birthday party to celebrate. She's going to have a birthday cake that's made for her. I'm not going to say, oh, no, I don't. No. 3-bite rule. I used to drink too much. Let's be honest about it. I did. I drank 1 night a week. 1 glass, maybe 2 glasses of wine. That's it. I'm much happier, healthier, feel better. But I used to drink a glass of wine or 2 every night. 7 nights a week. So I just changed my mind. I said, no, I eat for fuel. A different way of looking at it. By the way, I don't count calories. So to me, it's not about what I eat. What's it about? What I don't eat. I do not eat fried food, period. I do not eat a whole lot of red meat. I'm not against it. The cowboys are, sure, I love it. So the key there is moderation. That's what I do. And it's worked for me. I've lost 35 pounds. I've kept it off. Today, I'm at the best weight. I don't want to lose any more weight because then I'll lose strength. So 155 is what I weighed this morning. I weigh every morning, but I don't count calories. And it's worked for me. But I have to tell you, the audience, it is boring. I eat salmon, grilled salmon, probably 4 to 5 days a week. A lot of chicken and so on. A lot of eggs. I love eggs. Same lunch, same breakfast. That's what I do. So those 2 things are things that we can all, kind of appreciate.
Okay, let's step into step 3.
Well, step 3 for me was getting quality sleep. So when I was in the Wall Street business, okay, none of us slept well. I don't know about it. That was just part of the game. We were very competitive, had to be if we were going to be successful. And there's no doubt in my mind that I don't know anybody that slept well. On the weekends, you tried to do a catch-up. It's hard to do. And then your family is, it's really hard. So I tossed and turned. Now, what I thought was that once I retired in the world of business, I would sleep better. Didn't happen. Like a lot of people, I have sleep issues. And I said, okay, what am I going to do about it? And this is that virtuous circle, okay? Starts up here, strength training. Number 2 for me, okay, was, whatever you call it. I call it changing my relationship with food. Number 3 is the strength training. You can believe this or not, I'm telling you, when I exercise hard, I sleep better. No doubt about it. And that's that virtuous circle. One good event, what do you want to call it, leads to the other.
Now
So
I know before you did this, you were actually using sleep medications. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I haven't done that in some time. That's one way of doing it. And I just, it's like drinking wine. I'm not saying it's going to kill you or it's bad for you. I don't look at it that way. I just say I feel better. All I can say is if I work out today, for example, and that could be cardio, that could be strength training. I work out an hour a day, 6 days a week. I say, well, that's a lot. That's 1%, 5% of your day. Now, you say, I'm a doctor, I'm a this or that. I understand when you're younger and working to make a living for your family. But once you get older, presumably, you have more time. It's 5%. That's all. That's what 1 hour is. So I don't work out 2 or 3 hours for what? There's no payoff. But for me, what happens is when I work out. Now I didn't say kill myself. Whatever I'm doing, I sleep better. There's no doubt about it. Particularly the strength training.
Okay. So let's talk about step 4.
Okay. Step 4 is a tough one. And this is, how do you deal with stress? And I don't know anybody. I mean, let's just face it, we're in a stressful world. So anybody, whether you're young, old, whatever, male, female, we all have stress. The question is, what do you do about it? How do you deal with it? Now, some stress you can't avoid. Now, I'm not a doctor. I can't go into the mechanics of how stress works on your body, and I don't even try. But what I say is that what I believe happens is, I'm not a doctor or an expert. I believe the fight or flight thing kicks in, and that's good. If you're in an emergency. But what happens when that kicks in, and it's not an emergency? That's when the problems stretch in. And there's no doubt in my mind, I think most doctors would agree, stress that's unchecked can lead to a myriad of really bad things in your body. Inflammation, blah, 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 blah. So once again, when you exercise regularly, consistently, and you watch what you put in your mouth, okay, and you go on down the line, managing stress is easier. I'll say it again. You can think I'm just making this up. I'm just telling you what worked for me. I work out. Now, most people work out only when they feel good. Do you know what I found out? I work out when I don't feel good. If I have a fever, I don't work out. That's stupid. But if I'm stressed thinking about this interview, go work out. And I'm not talking about for an hour. Maybe it's just 20 minutes. Just do something. Maybe I just walk. And I find nothing leaves. The other thing I find, Allan, is that being out in nature, like you, I live in La Jolla. It's a suburb of San Diego. Walking on the beach with my wife, holding hands like a little teenage couple, eases all my stress, that like nothing else does. So I found that being outside, I don't know, again, I'm not a doctor, I don't know what's at work, it just tends to calm me down. The other thing I found is what is worrisome to me is when you encounter stress for really dumb reasons. I was at the post office recently. For some reason, there was a long line that wasn't moving. I got stressed. So what did I do? I said, this is so stupid. Getting my blood pressure, getting up. I just deep breathing and talking to people, strangers. I said, boy, it's kind of a long line, isn't it? Yes, it is. What are they doing? What's taking so long? Just talking about nothing to people who might also be in the same situation. That's what works for me. So again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. But what works for me is saying, if you feel stress, the other thing I do, I hope this doesn't impact you. I say, I listened to Allan's thing. No, that's not stressful. You're just the opposite. I'll limit my watching the news to 1 hour a day, just enough to know what's going on. Beyond that, I go crazy. What do you say that for? Well, I said, forget it. I really don't care what somebody says anymore. A politician, so what? So I like listening to music. Personally, I like country music. Very soothing to me. And so it's the idea, including your life. That's what I found, but particularly being out in nature.
All right.
And that's it. And that's it for me.
Okay, well, let's talk about your fifth step.
On my fifth step, I can't believe you said this. Finding a passion. No doubt about it. And now what does that mean, finding a passion? It has nothing to do with what's going to make me money, what's going to do this or that. No. It's just something. I love a story like a guy who was a doctor for, 30 years, a surgeon, retires. What does he do? He takes up a hobby. He goes back to school and says, I've always wanted to learn Greek mythology. It doesn't matter what it is. There's something that interests him that's a passion. Now, when it interests one person, it doesn't interest somebody else. So I find this passion is a real driver, a real positive driver. And my passion is creativity. So, well, I thought you were a Wall Street guy. Yeah, I did it to make money. Got to do something to bring money in. But once I said, enough's enough, I could do more. So what? I want to find my passion. And Allan, you may laugh about what I'm going to tell you, but in my heart, I believe that every child is given a gift. And I think your gift to the world, not to you, to the world, is to find that gift, whatever it may be, and share it with the world. That's why I do what I'm doing. That's my passion, is finding that something that at the end of life I can look back, has nothing to do with money or fame or anything else. In my opinion, did I live a good life? Did I leave it better than I found it, as we say, as I say? And am I in a good place? Do I have genuine friends? Not acquaintances, but real friends. I'm proud to say I've been married to an amazing woman. I have no charisma. I've never met her in 50. We're little kids from Kentucky. Now, where she gets this from, I have no idea. But she's got that spark. Now, a gentleman doesn't say how old his wife is, but she's not here. We're the same age. Now, she is what I would call a super ager. She's got something, a spark. Now, where does it come from? If I knew, I would bottle the darn thing and sell it. I don't know. But it's that spark. And she radiates that. And the last thing I'll just talk about, I think there's a sixth one, which really does interest me. And this is my word for it. You may not agree with this. It's a little bit like finding your passion, but it's that what I call positive energy. And the final thing in my life is that all these things, the passion, lead to what I call positive energy. And the only thing I've found that super agers have, it's not about living to 100. The only thing that 100 people who I interviewed, 100, had in common, nothing else. They were short, tall. Some were overweight, some were skinny. Some were this. I said, what is it? Education. Nope. They all had a positive energy. And they kind of radiated that. It was like a magnet or something. You say, well, you're born with that. I don't believe, maybe it's true. I'm not a doctor. I don't believe it. And I believe that anybody, I live in a senior community. It's upscale, owned by Mrs. Pritzker out of Chicago, blah, 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 blah. So what? Half the people here, I'm not getting personal, half of them are depressed. They're living alone. They've shut themselves off for various reasons. Doesn't mean they're bad people, but they don't have what I call that positivity, positive energy. And that's the difference.
Okay.
I believe it's true. You may or may not, but that's the final thing that sort of brings the circle home, is that positive energy means if I can do this, what do you think I know about producing a documentary film? Nothing. You don't know anything? You didn't go to UCS school for film? If I can go from not one push-up to 50, if I can go from losing 35 pounds and keeping it off, if I can win 10 gold medals, why do you think I have to limit what I can do in life? So what happens is you look at life as an adventure. And that's what the super agers do. It's up here. The payoff for all of this stuff is up here. It's not, look how strong I am. No. It's the payoff for all this stuff, I believe, is a positive energy where I used to fear being old. Well, sure, when I was 70, I was in terrible shape, hurting all over. Now I look at getting old as an adventure. But it's not about longevity. It's not, I found the secret to living to 100. Who cares? Not me. But I want to leave a healthy, full life.
So, Jim, if someone wanted to learn more about you and learn what you're doing over there with Super Agers, and I think you've got a new documentary you're cooking up, where would you like for me to send them?
Well, I'm working as we speak, and when I get through this thing, I'll be finished in a few days. I'm not a computer guy, by the way. I've been called a lot of things in my life, but I've never been called the grandfather of technology. I can barely turn a computer on. I don't do anything. I've never done a selfie in my life. I know nothing about that stuff. I write with a felt tip pen on a legal pad. I don't like typing or that kind of stuff. But I've got a new website. When I hang up with you today, I'll be working the way it'll be out. It's called MEET, Meet Jim Owen. And it sort of displays, all these things that we've talked about today. And again, I'm not selling anything. I don't want to be a trainer or a life coach. No, but I get more joy. And that's part of it. The payoff is joy in my heart. Okay? If I can help somebody who's struggling, and to be honest about it, I don't get fan mails. I get emails. I got one yesterday. You changed my life. I changed your life? I said, what do you mean? He says to me, I was, Cowboy Ethics did that. I hope this does. Cowboy Ethics created a movement. My hope is that these, for whatever reason, we've never talked about that. I do 3 things. I don't know why. I didn't write just Cowboy. I wrote Code of the West trilogy. This, for me, is a trilogy. They're all related. And I didn't know anything about this stuff. I just started off, the art of aging well. Second, now I'm into something else. How can you do it? And that's my gift. And I'm in the inspiration business. That's what gives me joy. If I can make the emotional, as you said, connection with people and help somebody, it's been a good life. I can look back and say, been okay. Have I made the most money? Who cares? Did I do it? Doesn't matter to me. I just want to say, I left things a little bit better than I found them. But I'm in the inspiration business, not unlike what you do. Awesome. That's what makes me happy, makes me joyful. And in my next project, I'm sure I want to be a better friend, better husband, better father. But see, to me, that's like a project. I hate to say it that way, but that's what it is.
Cool.
This
so
is
Jim, thank you so much for being a part of 40 Plus Fitness.
Oh, listen, I'm honored that you would, contact me again. I hope whatever we said today, I hope it radiates connect with an audience. And that's what it's all about. It's not about me, look at me, don't you wish you were me? No, ordinary guy, not an expert, don't want to be an expert. But if I can help somebody who's struggling for whatever reason, and as you get older, I brought honor to the family. And that's what my father did, passed away. I'm adopted at birth. My father did this as a dentist. On his deathbed, he said to me, Dad, I love you. And he said, I love you, son. Bring honor to the family. He didn't say make a lot of money. I don't think he even knew what a stock and bond was. He never talked about it. But he had a very honorable life, died way too soon. It's okay. That's my motivation. Thank you so much. I hope this was okay for you, and I hope your audience got something out of this, and I have great respect for you and what you're doing.
Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we meet Dr. Rafael Como and discuss his book, Crave, The Hidden Biology of Addiction and Cancer. Until then, have a happy and healthy week.